Anonymous Project, a new programme looking at cutting-edge activity within Scotland's arts and culture community. Each week we're going to get elbow deep in seeking out exciting creative projects from visual arts, crafts, dance, theatre, music, film and so much more. We head to Aberdeen to get involved in Dance Live, Scotland's only festival dedicated to contemporary dance. We catch up with artist Alexander Story-Gordon about his approach to exhibiting at Edinburgh's RSA. And back to Aberdeen to have a look at Culture Crush, Aberdeen's weekend of creativity in association with the London 2012 Olympics. But first we're here in the leafy side streets of Glasgow's West End, and if you drift past the murals by Kelvin Bridge and take a wander up towards Woodside, you will come across the Recoat Gallery. Last June, Recoat launched their most ambitious project yet. They brought 10 international graffiti artists to Glasgow. And not only were they showing their work in the gallery, they also managed to secure 10 walls around the city for them to paint. Rudimentary Perfection is the UK's first comprehensive exhibition showcasing the emerging Graffuturism movement.
Graffuturism basically started as a blog about March, February of last 2010, seeing all the new artists, the new workings, inspired me to just, showcase, start a blog, whatever happened, whatever became of it, became of it. It's street art, then there's graffiti, and, Graffuturism, I was trying to show something in between, and not a style, or not anything, I didn't know what it would be. And it just turned out to be, for me, it's the evolution of what's next for graffiti, or for anyone that can relate to what's happened and what we've done.
We've shown about half of the artists separately before, and we'd started to notice a thread of that kind of work coming together, and we were aware of the Graffuturism blog. I think Elf had put us onto that, and we decided that it was a good opportunity to try and pull together a group of those artists that were doing that similar sort of work. And so we've been working with Mark for about a year. Whenever we've had people working in the gallery for like a sort of prolonged period of time, we've always tried to give them an opportunity to put a show together, curate a show. So, yeah, we asked Mark to do it, and he did a great job.
When I think of graffiti, I think of the overspray and splatter. To me, beauty lies in the imperfections. As Poesia said, perfection through imperfection. The artists in the show have all moved down a more abstract and conceptual path, but there's a clear and visible line from the 1970s subway origins to the work that you see here today. It's infused with the same energy, super confident marks and spirit. When I was creating the show, I knew more or less who I wanted in. This was prior to knowing about the Graffuturism blog, so I was drawn from my favourite artists that I've been watching over time. And there was an immediate buzz and sense of building excitement about the show, and everyone got behind it in a really big way. And through a combination of good fortune, good luck and the stars aligning, it all came off.
When we first started putting together this project, it was very much going to be an exhibition. As the project snowballed and all these huge artists decided that they were going to make their way here, we realised that we were definitely going to need to find other walls. A lot of the artists that we exhibit do come from a street art or graffiti or that kind of background, so to see how they work for all of us is just amazing, and it was very inspirational for us, and I hope that that's what it is for other people.
I know J-Bo and Poesia. No, Mr. Jago before. We've worked together actually in New York.
Square. The white one.
Malovich?
I was very proud to be here because of meeting all those great names. Damn is there, just
I'm really scared of heights.
And I wasn't expecting that here. This little gallery in the middle of nowhere, and to have like such quality thing going on. And like funny, well, people from my own town that I didn't know, and they're just here now. Want to live in Berlin, but we never met.
Profile. So we have this guy from Denmark.
More used to be the boy band.
Yeah, I mean 3. One in Berlin, one in Denmark, and soon to be in Glasgow.
This type of work has been developing for years, but what the blog independently did was to formalise and group these artists together in a way that suddenly you could see a clear correlation. Now we have this notion being floated that we're at the beginning of a movement, or maybe just tapping into a zeitgeist. Time will tell. These are just 10 of hundreds of exciting artists, and can't wait to see what happens next.
I think what Recode did is reaching out, getting this done here. I think it happened just like the blog happened, just like everything happened, is that some artists came here from international, but everyone came here on their own. Everyone, I don't know how or accidentally, ended up here. Whether it was their own power or some got, some help, but everyone's here, and that's huge because it's not a big gallery that's going to fly everyone in and get everyone here. Everyone felt the need to be here, and it's important, and I 100% am grateful that everyone came. What we do is we paint, and as far as the murals are, is that we come here to showcase. It's a small gallery. We know that we brought small works. We know that we want to fit, but it wasn't about that. It was about coming together, and that for Recode to go out to the world or to the city and get all these gallery spaces was huge for us because we paint for for the public or for ourselves, or that's what we do first. It's not always about being in a gallery. It's about painting walls first, and when we paint walls, when they came and said, hey, look, you're going to show in the gallery and we have a wall for you, that's huge because that's what we do, and that's what we travel to a city, we would have been painting a wall on our own anyways.
Scotland has a thriving dance scene with organisations like Scottish Ballet and Scottish Dance Theatre, but it currently only has one festival dedicated to contemporary dance. Dance Live is organised by City Moves Dance Agency in Aberdeen, and it held its 6th festival last year, and it covers a number of traditional performances as well as more interactive site-specific works.
I think what's been really interesting on the Dance Live this year is there seems to be a little buzz about. There seems to be a lot of people turning up, the audiences are very good, there's a good response, people are really enjoying the fact that it's a festival that they can celebrate. We've got some really interesting work going on, some different types of work going on, so I'm really, really pleased. As the Artistic Director at City Move Dance Agency, one of my main priorities was looking at the Dance Live programme and really bringing it much more, trying to get more audiences in, trying to make it much more of an important part of the cultural calendar in Aberdeen. So it's been a really big part of my programming within the company. This is the 6th year that it's been running, and it's bringing contemporary dance to the northeast of Scotland. It's a celebration of great work by great choreographers in different venues all over Aberdeen. I think it's been enjoyable for the audiences. There's been some great performances. The opening night, Ballet Laurent, was an amazing atmosphere. Barrowland Ballet was great. I've seen that 4 times and I love it every time I see it and I always cry. Shugo Nifty, it was just great with Plan B dancing. East Coast Move was amazing, really good work, interesting work, young work, old work. I mean, East Coast Moves, it covered a kind of 30-year history of dance in Aberdeen. Michael Clark left here in Aberdeen in the 80s and started up his company, and then the 90s it was myself and Alan Gregg.
Baby, don't move, love. I said,
and then Angela Towler in the late 90s, and then into the new work from Hayley and Katie Milroy.
I had a piece called Degrees of Freedom, and it went really well. It was a solo for Tom Pritchard, who's also in Dance Hotel, and I've always wanted to make a solo but never found the right person to make it on, and I think to have a solo artist they need to be very strong on stage and have a real presence, and Tom has that, so it was a pleasure to make it actually on him. I'd like to extend it and make it a little bit longer and take it further, but it was a really nice start.
An Aberdeen Dance Collective with Errol White. And then here we are in a railway station for Dance Hotel.
Now I'll take you to a dance hotel. That is, we're in the 1940s era.
I'm at the end of my road, only they get home. When business goes together, that's what's the point. I'm yours forever. We never will part.
I have to say, it was pretty fantastic to walk through and to see the different rooms and see the different artists that I've understood or seen their work over a long period of time, put into a context.
Mary, keep the noise down.
What are these people doing here?
Not many people get careless about teenaging. Careless? They don't know the secret, you mean? There is no secret, really. That's a fallacy. Just a few simple rules to remember. Bravo! I'll tell you all the teen structure to you made with underboiled water will be weak and fragrant.
Dance Hotel was spawned from a discussion that I had with a few different dance artists, and I was just thinking about different spaces. I quite like making site-specific work. I've done that for quite a few years, and taking dance to people so that they can see it without having to buy a ticket, and it makes them think about a different world. So that's why it starts off in Aberdeen Station, and then it goes into different hotel rooms, so they're put in a different space that they think they know, but it's twisted.
Oh, she's ready for you.
Come in, come in. Fix Mr. Buckley. You've caught me looking like Hoggle. Now, can I give you some advice about putting on lipstick? I left a note on his dresser.
I've used dancers that either I've worked with before or I've heard of, or that I've seen their work and really respect.
Don't smoke in bed.
What is happening, Mary?
Mary, go with that group.
Excuse me.
Your last performance. how the performances shall be.
Nobody's fault but mine. Well, Mama taught me how to sing. Mama taught me how to sing. Yeah.
What I'm really interested in is the whole festival, the experience that everyone gets, and it's been really nice talking to people about different pieces and different things. You're not going to like everything, you're not going to go, that's amazing, I like the whole programme, and there are choices that I have made to invite people in, or commission people, or brought different artists up to here, and that's really been really enjoyable to do as a programmer.
The Royal Scottish Academy in Edinburgh is one of the most prestigious venues in the capital. However, it's also Scotland's oldest artist-run gallery, a Victorian precursor to contemporary collectives such as Transmission, Generator, Limousine Bull and the Embassy. In keeping with its support of Scottish artists, each year the RSA selects a group of graduates from each of the Scottish art schools and offers them the main gallery space for its New Contemporaries exhibition. Last year, one of the artists was Glasgow-based Alexander Story Gordon, and we caught up with him here at SWG3 to have a little chat about his work and to see how he dealt with showing in RSA New Contemporaries.
I'm Alexander Story Gordon. I'm a printmaker. I kind of see myself as a printmaker, but not in the kind of traditional idea of a printmaker, but I've been thinking about it recently quite a lot actually, but with like printmaking as being something which is also a concept or like a kind of way of approaching work. So it's not simply just like printmaking, it's also like a way in which you make work, which comes from your education. Whatever your education is, it kind of impacts on the way you make work. So printmaking historically exists outside normal art history. I think a lot of the artwork I make is slightly outsider-ish in some way. Equally, it's kind of about being two things at once, being both like a craftsman and a fine artist, and a satirist and a publisher, different things like that. So it's, yeah, I think it's kind of, the way I make work is like a printmaker, although what I make isn't printmaking. What I did was a kind of multi-layered installation. It had a performance, which was essentially a play.
Do you see it? See what? The silhouette. What? The silhouette.
75.
Michelangelo's silhouette.
It had a large sculpture, which was a papier-mâché mountain, a small drawing, and 2 films. I started off with just how I felt about showing at the RSA, it being a historical institution that I felt slightly apprehensive at showing at. I didn't really know how I placed myself in terms of its overview, or like how it tends to represent artists is how I describe it. So I started kind of doing some background research on the RSA, and immediately came up with like an idea that obviously that it's the first art collective in Scotland, but also that it was interestingly kind of a mix mash of both certain like Enlightenment frameworks, like the Academy, but also done with a kind of romantic further or edge to it.
This is the artist Kazimir Malevich, seen here clinging to his famous black square. Once, before he fell into ill health, he sneaked onto Stalin's dacha in the Black Sea and placed a dead fly on Stalin's sleeping face.
It was quite interesting to like go through that process in which I had to then kind of discuss what I thought the RSA was with like Colin and Sandy. They kind of kept asking whether my work was really about greys, because they were fine with the idea of me like critiquing like Gray's School of Art, but they weren't happy with me making a comment really about the RSA. So they, for example, like originally it was called, my show was called RSA New Collective, or the Collectives was called it, and they asked me to drop the RSA, maybe for obvious reasons, but they're obviously a little bit ishy about the idea. I think Colin quite liked the idea, but was conscious of what it might entail.
Are you an anarchist?
Yes! Or at least
25.
you are.
Stop!
Quick stop!
18.
Am I?
I really wanted it to cause more of a stir, perhaps, than it did. It was actually, in the end, quite subtle. But to be honest, that's probably a better thing, rather than being... It became less of a gimmick. I thought my degree show, although I really enjoyed parts of it, certainly had a huge gimmick aspect to it, which just made me feel slightly uncomfortable. But I think this one had less of one. But then, conversely, it's done less for me career-wise. More for me is a successful piece of artwork, but less good for my name.
Up to this year's Olympic Games, the Culture Olympiad has been supporting a number of open weekend events that have been taking place across Scotland. And Culture Crush was Aberdeen's weekend of creativity in 2011, and it brought together the National Theatre of Scotland, City Moves Dance Agency, Aberdeen's Performing Arts and Aberdeen Art Gallery, and together they put on a programme of events that took place throughout Aberdeen's city centre.
But when Baron de Coubertin, who founded the modern Olympic Games in the late 19th century, when he was thinking about why this was a good idea for the world, he had this vision of culture, sport, education as being the three pillars. So he talked about mind, body and spirit. And back in ancient Greece, artists were at the centre of the Games as well, so people would come together to watch the sport but listen to the artists as well, and we decided that we wanted to bring that back. And we wanted it to run for 4 years. It had to be a great party for 4 years.
Culture Crush is a project bringing together lots of arts organisations in the city of Aberdeen and also the National Theatre of Scotland to sort of create a new programme of events to celebrate London 2012 Open Weekend. We had lots of people involved in various events. Some were ticketed, which is completely sold out. Others sort of allowed people to drop in and get involved. And I think we sort of engaged with lots of different people that may not have sort of normally get involved in sort of dance or theatre or performance.
We've got various events running throughout the whole weekend. We have our red telephone boxes which are situated outside, and the idea behind them is if you hear a telephone ringing, you feel free to go in and answer it, so we don't give too much away. It's based on the Olympic motto of faster, further and higher, so all the questions relate to the Olympics. We've got our hair salon, and the idea is that you book an appointment with us and bring a piece of celebratory music in return for getting a free haircut. So you tell us a story about why you brought the music, what it means to you in exchange for a free haircut. On Saturday night we have an Extreme Ceilidh, again part of a previous project which as far as I know is sold out, so you could come along, mixture of traditional and non-traditional music and dancing.
was looking forward to the extreme Ceilidh because I was in Inverness last night for a Ceilidh in a car park and had such a good time, but this was obviously in the music hall and was fantastic. I've really enjoyed the pop-up performances by the Theatre Decathlon. I've loved the songs from the Granite City, all those different dance groups, giving it their all to music that I didn't even know came from this part of the world. That's been fantastic. The rehearsed reading of The Cone Gatherers today was fantastic.
For the colonel had pulled strings to keep him here to care for the estate.
You don't know anything about it.
There's been a really wide range. Some of it's been very playful, some of it's been more serious, some of it you've been an audience member, sometimes you've been participating. I think it's been a really good mix. As a little mini festival programming wise, it's been really, really good.
When you create these events, you sort of want them to be so successful, but it's up to the public and how they wish to sort of get involved. And it was really, really good to see so many people from all over Aberdeen and further afield sort of coming together and just enjoying themselves.
Because Open Weekend has been a countdown, so this year it's 1 year to go, last year 2 years to go, etc, etc. But next year we don't need to count down because it's already here. A lot of the events and participation and audiences that we've seen over this weekend getting excited about what's possible will happen on different dates in different places depending on when those big celebrations are happening. So there's a potential to celebrate an awful lot of stuff next year. And I think what's going to happen is the last 3 years of this, organisations and partners have tested how they might want to do this, and then next year they can do it whenever they want to their timetable and to their spec. So I think it's almost like the athletes training that the arts and cultural sector has been training, and now what will happen next year is they'll go for their performance on their big day. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Well, we hope that's given you a little insight into the rich and vibrant cultural activity that's happening around Scotland today. And next time we'll seek out even more new projects and events and artists from around the country. And we all lead busy lives, so short of actually going yourselves, we'll bring them straight to you.